Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2026.
Woo!
Woohoo! This is Auto Asphyxiation. This is Lark.
And Kimberly.
That's right. And we're really hoping, well, you know what? I have to say, I'm kind of hoping that the League of American Bicyclists are like waking up to like the new year. Like, who the hell are these people? Yeah, that's what I hope. You're like, oh no, like they don't, they were trying to just randomly. No, we're gonna keep on you all year.
All
Anyway,
year.
all year. And this episode is really about home rule and robots. You're like, what the hell does that mean? Okay. There's only kind of like one place in New Jersey, maybe like two, but mainly one place in New Jersey where we have bike lanes and we have all this kind of like more, you know, dense. Well, you know what? We're the densest state in the union, and we're the most urban state in the union. But I'll say this, as far as like actively dense, actively like, people like riding bike and it being like on purpose, we'll say Jersey City kind of has that on lockdown. But something interesting happened. In the Jersey City Times, there was this letter to the editor, and they were talking about how delivery robots are kind of like on the street. And they were like, the letter was essentially saying robots are better than people. Said these bike riders are horrible, but these electric robots, they follow the rules, they stop, they don't surprise people, they're much safer, right? And I was like, that's an interesting. Number one, I thought it was interesting that Jersey City Times printed that letter. It was kind of like, oh, it's a letter to the editor. It's not us. We're not like saying that's something you should do. We just printed the letter. And I was just kind of like, that I don't know. I just felt it was really weird. Like these tech companies are kind of like really pushing this whole people are inefficient, they're unpredictable, they're emotional, machines are clean and compliant. And the thing is interesting is that we were having a conversation, I think like two episodes ago about the League of American Bicycles and how Waymo sponsors them and how Uber sponsors them. And this is kind of like, People for Bikes. All these organizations are these tech companies are very immersed in the whole bicycle situation. And I'm just kind of like, you know, you know, bike lanes, what we were fighting for. I mean, we fought for that. We fought for bike lanes. We fought for access. We fought against this whole auto asphyxiation, name of the show. And I feel like, you know, a lot of our bike advocacy groups have essentially kowtowed to the tech. And what are your thoughts? And I could just keep rambling on. I must.
First and foremost, I want to just say loudly and publicly, I hate the fact that they're cute. Like they have a little smiley face on them and they kind of look like a cooler, like a friendly igloo cooler. So I sort of hate the fact that they're cute because them being cute makes a part of me want to like them. And I'm a big sci-fi fan, so like like Star Wars, all of these different universes have helpful, friendly robots, and it makes life easier for the workers. But this isn't what they're giving to us. They're replacing workers with this instead of adding help to workers. And yeah, this is another tech company and Uber Eats collaboration. This is AV Ride and Uber Eats that has collaborated to bring this to Jersey City. Jersey City is the first intro market on the East Coast. And yeah, they're supposed to be on the sidewalks. They're made for sidewalks, but people are already complaining about them being on the sidewalks.
Yeah, and if they're on the sidewalk, okay, look, I already know, like, it's, I think it's interesting that the bicycle advocacy acquiesces so much to tech. And I feel like there's only like to me, the places where we have protected bike lanes, Jersey City, New York, and they're very connected to the whole tech industry. I know, a lot of bicycle organizations, they're essentially are funded by people who are in tech, especially in New York. Even though, like, I know that, New York is a little bit different because of how it is. But the thing is this, I can't help but think that, okay, first we had these bike lanes, and it was kind of like their whole thing was saying it's going to help people not be car dependent. It's going to make it like safer. It's going to do all this stuff. And now we see that essentially they made bike delivery contract, which we know it's not. Essentially, we have them as being like essentially sharecroppers, new style sharecroppers, gig economy. They're using their bicycles. And they essentially have people who don't have money, um, working poor, historically excluded, undocumented, women who with children who are not married, or I call it unpartnered women with children. And so essentially they actively want people who have no power, who can't unionize, and so they set this up like, oh, we're being helpful. And we know the next step is, oh, we could have robots do this. I mean, and I think the thing is so interesting to me is that so many of people in bicycling are being used by this. And I'm just kind of like, well, not like this, but they're going to be. It's like they really. I don't know. Is it insincerity or ignorance of how this works? Do you think tech's going to help you advocate for bicycle protected lane infrastructure and not and be like, oh, it's okay if you don't let our robots and drones use it? That's the next step. And I
That's
want to know like what is advocacy planning on doing? What is League of American Bicycles planning on doing? What is People for Bikes? What are People for Bikes planning on doing? What is New Jersey Bike Walk planning on doing? Don't we, I hate to have to call them out like this, but this is coming, and I want to know what is their ideas. And the people I know, people are very much like, oh, you know, this is in regards to this. Well, what about the policymakers? What about the politicians, et cetera, et cetera? I understand that. But when in Montclair, this is Essex, in the city of Essex, or as they call it, Essex County, in Montclair, when a child was essentially run over, like around Thanksgiving, a child was run over. His face was like on the windshield, like a imprint of his face was on the windshield. It was horrible. He lived, but this is like a 13-year-old child. Who does Montclair call? They call New Jersey Bike Walk. They call like policymakers, urban planners, politicians. They call on advocacy to make policy. So this isn't just like, oh, people doing like little fun things. When people get hurt, when people die, when people are harmed, people who are our representatives go to who they think are the experts, which are League of American Bicyclists, People for Bikes, New Jersey Bike Walks, Bike JC, which is Bike JC is like wonderful. I'm not even like I'm simply saying this is what happens when things happen. So it's not like we're just people out here. We have no power. You have a lot of power. You have a
well,
lot of power. And go ahead. What are you gonna say?
and that makes sense that the people in the politicians, the government would contact the advocacy groups because those are supposed to be the experts. But lately, all the advocacy groups seem to be pushing everybody either towards recreational cycling off the beaten path, or they're partnering up with tech companies. Like, what are you really working towards?
And I mean, yeah, this is why we have class three bicycles that have a throttle that go 28 can be, essentially use technology to make them go faster than 28 miles per hour. And they're class three and they're classified as bicycles. These are people that are supposed to be helping us make, and they use the term safer. Oh, we're making it safer. We're making it safer. We're making it. No, I don't. If you're essentially saying that in England, in Scandinavia, bikes over 20 miles per hour that have a throttle are not considered bicycles, and people were like saying, well, even like what about the cargo bikes? Well, guess what? I'm really sorry, but if you have a cargo bike and it's really heavy, yeah, you should probably have a license for that. I don't understand what you don't understand about
Yeah,
that. That's
if you hit somebody, it's going to cause a lot more damage with a big bike like that.
exactly. And the thing is, this is that they're supposed to be for people, not for corporations, not for millionaires or billionaires, not for tech companies. So when we have this situation where we have this like bike advocacy and they are essentially, being handmaids for the tech fashion, well, I shouldn't say fashion, tech companies, corporations, we have a problem because they have power. People are looking to them as guidance, and and I mean, and then part of this problem is that we have this scarcity mindset. We have this, oh, we have limited income, we have a lot of pilot programs, and the reason for this is because we have this and I keep calling it the wrong thing, home rule. I want to call it local rights. We have home rule in New Jersey. And so essentially, instead of us working together, we're all competing for crumbs. We're competing for grants. This is why I have always had a problem. I like essentially entitlement funding. I don't really like the grant situation because you have to compete, and we're a region. How do we, as a region, why are we competing against each other for grants? Competing for grants from the state, competing for grants from foundations, competing for grants for people for bike, competing for grants from all these like, why is this happening?
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you're right. We're competing over crumbs. They are saying that resources are scarce, but we all know that the resources are there. And it just becomes so much of an issue when there's a home rule, as you said, which is basically New Jersey's version of state rights. Um, and when tech has so much capital to pour into literally anything that they want to.
And then essentially, okay, now we have, it's weird, like because now that and this is something I think is a problem with a narrative. And this narrative is something that I know that a lot of people in bicycling push. They go, oh, bike lanes, they're good for the economy. They're good for capitalism. And I've always hated that angle because the reason why I think bicycles are good is because they help in mitigating the climate crisis. They help in creating pro-social methods and paradigms. I'm not so into the whole market, market, market. And trying to market bicycles as a marketing tool, as an economic engine, you kind of create the situation where it's like, okay, so we could turn bike lanes into highways. And so what happens when bike lanes become highways? Which is one thing is good is that, oh yeah, they're continuous, they're predictable, they're protected. That's great. But also it's like, oh, well, we could use that for capitalism. We could use that for economic development. And so the only use for them becomes, oh, well, of course, we would rather them be used by Uber Eats, Amazon, and you've seen Amazon's, I don't know if you saw Amazon's cargo bike. It essentially looks like a van. Somebody's like riding it, where it
Yes,
has
yeah.
and I'm like, that's not a bike. And there you have the situation where it's kind of like, well, those lanes should be prioritized for our contract employees, not even our union employees, our contract employees. They're not even contract employees, they're independent contractors. So essentially, they want these bike lanes to be used by people who are not protected, who essentially transport cheap products and cheap, crappy food, and that is a priority. So it's like the trip chaining that people do who are primary caregivers, that's not a priority. Children riding to school is not a priority. People using those bike lanes, this is like in New Jersey, to get to the train is not a priority. The priority is Uber Eats, DoorDash. I always forget about DoorDash. DoorDash and Amazon. And it's
Yep.
kind of like, oh, well, see, this is what we can, and I can totally see that. It's kind of like, you know, the bike lanes are supposed to be last mile infrastructure, but instead it's become infrastructure for these exploitative corporations. And I don't feel that bicycle advocacy is ready for this conversation. I don't think they're ready for the challenge. And I know that New Jersey, because of the home rule situation, they're just not ready to do solidarity.
I agree with you. I think that you're absolutely right. I don't think that anybody is really thinking long term about like the effects of bike lanes being used for commerce rather than for their actual intended purpose. And like it's funny while we're talking here, like I picture in my head that little robot like cheerily going down the bike lane while there's like this is what I'm imagining that while there are even more homeless people on the city streets because there's less jobs to go around because now those people can't even do delivery driving work.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that is the thing that's just really just wild to me. And I think about the New Jersey Turnpike, this situation where it's like number one, something that really irritated me is that when I was reading about New Jersey, it made it seem like it was something that was just going to affect Jersey City. And that is fine. That's wonderful. It's just going to affect, Hudson County, just going to affect Jersey City. And because Jersey City has essentially a higher income population than Newark, it has a wider population than Newark. Even though it's weird, Jersey City used to be a black city. I did not know that. I was told that by a little old black lady when I went to a bicycle event. Our friend Dulcie, our mutual friend Dulcie, is in a documentary about bicycles,
Oh.
and they were showing her film at County College, and it was like it's a really great place, Hudson Community College. I love community colleges. I went to a community college. And this little old black woman came up to me and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a writer." And she's like, "You know, we used to live here." And I was like, "I'm from LA. I didn't know that. What do you mean?" She's like, "This used to be a black city." And I was like, "I had no idea about that." She's like, "Well, you have to help us." I have no idea why I'm having this story, but what I'm saying is this: is that now Jersey City is not a little black a city with it's not a black city anymore. And I think it's really interesting because, you know, they have okay, the reason why I'm saying this is because when I essentially wrote a op-ed that talked about how we should have had solidarity with the Turnpike situation because they essentially kind of canceled the Turnpike widening in Jersey City, but they're continuing to do it in Newark. So essentially, what's going to happen is all the things they were going to do in Jersey City, they're going to just going to do more of it in Newark. It was always going through Newark. And then when I brought this up and I had this op-ed, people from Jersey City were like, "Well, what's Newark doing?" Like, and I was kind of like, "You do know
Wow.
that we're actually one community, right?" Like this whole and also too, what an incredulous statement.
Yeah.
Why would you don't understand why Newark might be busy? Why they might not have the time to do what Jersey City does? In Newark, we have parcels or zip code areas where people make households, not
Yes.
people. Households make $16,000 a year. And for you to ask me, well, what, why?
What's
Why
Newark
did
doing?
why is it Newark fighting against this?
Why isn't Irvington in on this fight for cycling? Like that's
And the thing is that it would be great, but they're doing things like trying to feed themselves. And this is not even I'm not even trying to be insulting. The thing is that New Jersey is extremely segregated. There's extreme income disparity in regards to not only to gender, which we talk about a lot, but also in regards to people who are racialized. And so this whole idea, you know, if you're in Jersey City, you have to advocate for Essex for Newark too. If you want, because the thing is that yes, um, if they build in Newark, if they do the whole widening the turnpike in Newark, it's going to still impact you. It's still going to impact the climate crisis. It's still going to cause traffic. It's still going to impact you because you can't just, and so the whole conversation, it really bothered me because I was kind of like, we're really Hudson and Essex are literally one city.
well, it's like when I used to live in Harrison, I lived about the same distance from the border of Newark as I do here in East Orange, like about a half a mile or so. Like, so everything like bleeds in together. And it's so much of what we talk about rather than like political boundaries. Like, there's actual functional boundaries that exist within Essex and Hudson County that bleed communities into one another.
And I don't even understand, like, and this is the thing. We have this whole state, sorry, I keep wanting to call it state rights or local control. It's like strong, no, no, no. What's it called? Lo town, local. Oh my
Home
God.
rule.
Home rule. I swear to God, if I said if somebody from New Jersey is not there, I will completely mess it up. I have no idea why I can't get that right. I need to like have it like on a post-it so I can just like say it. But like it's literally like it's home rule. It has everybody competing for investments, competing, and then also too they want to protect their area. Oh no, I don't care about what happens literally a mile away. As long as my 4 square mile area is fine, I don't care.
That's the thing too. Like I can kind of like understand like how, like the boroughs in New York City are slightly competitive. It's more of a joke between the boroughs. But I can understand that more with boroughs because they actually have boundaries between them for the most part, except for like a few that overlap in places. They actually have boundaries around them where like Manhattan's an island in and of itself. Like New Jersey's not like that. Our communities interlock so much, so often all over the place.
And the thing is that, I mean, I think the thing that's just really interesting is that I mean, I think about it this way. I looked at this thing and it said that um, Florida has 67 school districts. And as you know, Florida is like, probably one of the most racist, segregated places, I would say in the world, in the Western world, in the United States, one,
In the
whatever.
United States.
And New Jersey has 600.
That and people scream every day about the high taxes in New Jersey and why do we pay such high taxes? And this is literally why. Because we have too many municipalities, which equals too many school districts, which equals too many fire departments, too many ambulance corps, too many police departments. Like it's too much. Like how do you justify that amount of municipalities? Like
600 school districts. That is wild as hell. And New Jersey is not even big.
no.
I don't know if California has 600 school districts. I feel like I should look that up to see because that to me is wild. I'm like, what? 600? Like, I knew it was a lot, but I was just like, how many, school districts does California have? Because I know I don't think we have that many. And I'm just very much like, oh, do you have it?
I have it. California has 1,133 school districts.
Well, that's a lot, but we're way bigger.
But that makes sense. Like California is so gigantic in comparison to New Jersey. We're almost shaped like one another, except that like California is like 5 times the size of New Jersey, probably more. I don't know ratios.
I think it's like 10 times the size of New
Wow.
Jersey. I look at it as like a micro. I always look at it like, look, it's like a micro California in the opposite way. That's why I always think it's like when I look at New Jersey, I'm like, it's like a, but yeah, it's, it's still, that's still wild. And I feel like, this is part of the problem. We have this situation where, instead of solidarity, we have, carceral traffic enforcement, tech, on our public spaces. And and also something that I've written about is that while the popular narrative for the bicyclist is the person is Latino, in reality, in New Jersey and New York, they're often Francophile, no, that's the wrong term, but French-oriented Africans from Senegal, the
Yes.
vast majority. And I don't know, I suspect the reason we don't use that, I suspect the reason that tech doesn't use that narrative is because of the wild anti-blackness that is taking that exists in New Jersey. And so it just, and but the thing is that that's always there. So essentially it's going to be really easy to get the public to flip over these bike lanes that are essentially being captured by these algorithms that have black drivers or black, sorry, black bicyclists. We'll put in quotes because those are mopeds. And then go, oh yeah, we should have drones. Like I feel like they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
They do know exactly what they're doing. And I'm still going to bring it back to like, this is so much more dystopian than even the most dystopian sci-fi movie or novel that I've ever read. Because this is not going to ever be, if we keep pushing tech and we keep pushing people out of work in favor of tech, this isn't going to be the luxury space communism that we would all like, where the robots are friendly and the robots alleviate burdens from humans so that we can have more leisure time and live a more luxurious lifestyle. It's it's going to send delivery drivers to soup kitchens and bread lines because we live in a capitalist hellscape.
I remember in San Francisco, and even in New York, I know that some cab drivers killed themselves over this.
They did because, especially in New York City, because medallions at one point in time, to get a medallion, it was like $1 million.
Yeah, yeah, and now it's just like they're worthless now. I mean, we know you know what you reminded me of the book, Fully Automated Luxury Communism by Aaron Bastani. Horrible person. I hate that book so much because it's so delusional. And it's so like libertarian. Like this is why a lot of people, well, a lot of the sexist patriarchy that exist on I call it the chaotic left. This is why they viewed Elon Musk as some kind of god. They're like, yeah, because okay, just so you guys know, just kind of give you like a little like side note. One of the ideas for tech is the idea that we're not going to be able to like slow down for the climate crisis. So what we should do is accelerate, speed up, and then when technology advances enough, we'll find a tech solution. So that is their whole idea is speeding up the economy, doing things, making as much money, keep advancing, 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 and then they'll come up with a solution, a tech solution in order to solve this.
This sounds seriously, this sounds like an episode of Futurama. Like, oh, this is a problem for future me. Like,
It is. It's scary because they literally think that. That's why you're kind of like some people were kind of like. I know a lot of people kind of didn't realize that a lot of people in on the left liked Elon Musk.
yeah.
now they're kind of like, well, we made a mistake. So many, just like just with the whole Grand Planner, they're still pushing that. They're what? They're gonna always act like we didn't know. Watch when he becomes like a like the like a new evil demon. They're gonna be like, well, who knew? Who
Who
knew this
knew?
would happen? Elon Musk. Who knew this would happen? I read with his wife. I did a whole poetry reading, and I actually
Oh, that's
he
right.
he went to my poetry reading. So I met him when I was in LA in Chinatown a long time ago. Um, Wild as hell. His I don't know which one of his children's mothers.
It was probably his first wife, I
Yeah, I think
imagine.
I want to say I want to say I said I think that's not her name. I'm not going to say her name because I want to say the wrong name. Um
Vi what did you meet Vivian's mom?
yes,
Okay.
that's whose mom I met. That's whose mom I
Okay.
met.
Okay. I'm a big fan
That's
of
who I
Vivian.
Yeah, that's who I read with in Chinatown. And
Oh.
actually if you actually come with me for a Zoom meeting, you'll see a picture of me and it was at that reading. It was at the reading that Elon Musk went to. Anyway, really, we could have, solidarity. We could have this we could have the only way we're going to actually build a real bike infrastructure, real public transit that's intra, not just Manhattan, because the whole thing is now is like, oh, how do we get to Manhattan? But we could actually have a real bicycle and public transit and non-driving infrastructure in North Jersey, but we have to be regional. We can't go like, oh, Essex. No, we can't go, oh, Newark, Jersey City, Bloomfield, Montclair. No, literally
It's
all of
too
North Jersey
much.
has to be one city. You know what? New York knows that. Can you imagine each borough like, well, I don't know if I want a bus to go through Brooklyn. And can you imagine like how horrible public transit would be in New York if every borough was like, no, if every borough was broken into like 20 cities and each city was like, well, I don't know if I want the subway to go through my city.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that would be wild. And that's literally what's happening in New Jersey. And I don't understand, like to me, you could not be an effective advocate, transit advocate if you don't believe in functional boundaries. Political boundaries only exist to support capitalism. And I don't understand, and I hope that if you like Mandami, if you like the Democratic Socialists, that you take those values and apply it to everything, not just apply it because you don't like Adams. I don't like Adams either, but don't just use it so that you can be like, oh, I hate Democrats, so now I want to use it. But if it's bicycles, then yeah, we could totally do capitalism. We could totally be a horde of capitalism if it's for a bike lane. No, you if you are kind of like we need to be collective, we need to be cooperative. That needs to be in all parts of your life, not just, oh, the ballot. It needs to be in everything you do. And I don't think people have quite grasped that yet because we can do this better.
People have to live their values. People have to like I have for probably about the last 10 or 15 years of my life, I really have been trying to emulate that phrase, whoever it's attributed to, because every time I see it quoted, it's attributed to somebody else. But that phrase, be the change you wish to see in the world. And people have to live their values when it comes to even things like bike advocacy. It's much bigger than just making sure that we have a protected bike lane. This is a public health emergency. We have to reduce the amount of cars that are on our roads. It really is a public health emergency.
That quote is Margaret Mead, and I know because that's part of the Catholic social worker, and that was one of my favorite quotes, and I always bring it up all the time. So it's Margaret Mead. And I think that and this is so important because it's called all about like caring about people. Bike lanes are not tech infrastructure. And we need to like be very explicit about that. And I wouldn't mean to say this, but I feel like we need to talk to League of American Bicyclists and demand that they drop Waymo as a partner, drop Uber as a partner. I don't think DoorDash is their partner, but I know Uber and Waymo are especially horrible, and you should drop them as partners. And and Lyft needs to, if they want to be part of it, because Lyft apparently is politically a little bit better, they need to like say, hey, they're not going to force us to like put some weird drones or robots in the bike lane. Like that's not
Yeah.
part of the deal. Like I feel like we're making a deal with the devil here with these people, and we don't need to do that.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're making a deal with the devil and they're making it for only short-term solutions for short-term goals that they want to see. Not and they're not looking at the bigger picture and what's going to happen further down the line.
Exactly. And to me, if you're on the left, if you say you're progressive, and you're in New Jersey, this home rule thing, you have to literally just let it go. There are no borders. There are no borders. We are a community. Those borders are just to oppress people, just to like literally, yeah, it's just literally to oppress people. And we have to really understand like a really salient point is that functional boundaries and functionally New York Metro or the I would call it New Jersey Metro. Functionally, the metro, what is called metro? We won't even label it. The metro area is one area, and we need to start planning that way. We need to start instead of going like, why aren't these poor people working harder for bike advocacy, dude? Are you serious? I'm still kind of annoyed by that. And the thing is that the person who said that is literally typically one of my favorite fucking people, and typically he's so good. But I think it was like late at night. It was like during the whole Christmas holiday, and I was like, kind of like, I did. That was kind of like, what? I did kind of talk a lot of shit, but
But
I was
but still,
yeah, still, you're usually better than that. Than for you to say that, you're usually better than that. So I'm gonna forgive you for that comment. Not like I haven't forgiven some people who I'm still mad at, but that's okay. Anyways, 2026. And I got other targets. No, we have other targets. Anyway, no, I shouldn't say
we have a whole new shit list for
we got a
2026.
whole new shit list. And I'm sorry, League of American Bicyclists, you're on that list. Anyway, and with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Kimberly?
The Star Trek future is slipping from our grasp, and we can still retain our Star Trek future if we do things like proper bike advocacy and calling tech companies out when they are overstepping their boundaries.
That's right. That's right. So you guys have a wonderful, I hope, again, Happy New Year's thing. I don't think it's too late. Larry
Happy,
David said you only have 3 days, but it's okay. All right, that's just a TV show. Anyway, so you have a great rest of your day or evening or wherever you're listening to this.
thanks for listening.